This is Wolfgang Valbrun, and I am with my weekly mixtape with Brian Colburn, and I hope that everyone is having a beautiful day.
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. On tonight's special album dive edition of the show, I'm joined by singer-songwriter Wolfgang Valbrun, whose album Flawed By Design I discovered during one of my New Music Friday searches, and I was instantly floored by what I heard. And now, a little over a week and change later, I'm excited to welcome Wolf to the show so we can dive into his story and the music from this incredible debut release so more of the My Weekly Mixtape listeners can discover it as well. Wolf, thank you so much for joining me on the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Well, before we dive into the album, I always like to ask my first-time guests, what does the word mixtape mean to you?
It means the first gift that I gave to my first girlfriend when I was 13.
I hope it went over well. Well, first off, congratulations on the debut album, Flawed by Design. As I mentioned in my intro, this is an album I discovered on my New Music Friday hunting. And while I was listening and learning more about you, I discovered that before embarking on this solo career, you were a part of Parisian funk band Marvelous, avant-garde UK soul and jazz band Ephemerals, as well as French hip-hop and soul legend Guts, who you co-wrote and performed on tracks of his Stop the Violence record. Can you talk about how those collaborations and experiences led you to Flawed by Design?
Really in a very weird way. So I started off with my band Marvelous when I was about 21, 22. And, I wasn't a musician at that time. It was more just a kind of a hobby, just going out to sing with friends. And from there, we opened up for a band called Hannah Williams and the Tastemakers at the time. And when that happened, I met the guitarist, so Olive Hillman, and she told me she wanted to have another band. And so we met over that and just talked a bit. And then from that, after touring the first and second album, we went to Glastonbury. And from Glastonbury, we played on a stage called Silver Haze. And that was really, really cool. But we were playing at the same time as Coldplay. So we didn't have much people in front of us, but Guts was on right after us. And he was on the side of the stage and he watched the gig. And from that, he kind of took me under his wing, kind of became his little protege. And so when we finished touring I think this was after Stop the Violence, so it must have been like Philanthropic. COVID hit, and it kind of got to everybody. And so stopped touring with Guts, Ephemerals, we split, after a while of having been together. And then the question came of like, what do I want to do next? What was the next thing that I wanted to discover? And it became, I wanted to discover myself because I hadn't had the occasion to really delve into what really touched me, even though I felt a connection to all the other things I had done before. But this was a very introspective album. So I think that's how it really came about.
So then let's dive into Flawed by Design, which was released on May 31st, 2024 via Jalapeno Records. And as I've mentioned countless times on this show, I'm a sucker for album opening tracks. So even when I'm looking to see where I stand on an album, I always tend to go to track one. Because if you could grab my attention and sell me on your music with the opening song, you probably got a fan for the rest of the album. And Sun Don't Shine, which is the opening song on this album, does just that.
I can see you want more from life. What I got won't lift your ego tonight. Strange bedfellows, we sure are. This could be the end of it all. You want to be seen by the whole world, and I ain't like that, you know it, girl. You toss and turn, looking for empathy, but I can see that you're empty. Oh, would you be mine if the sun don't shine? Oh, would you leave behind? Oh, would you be mine?
kind of song that immediately demands your attention, but while the music is joyous and uplifting, lyrically you're painting kind of a different picture, that of a relationship that preserves only through the ups in life and inevitably crumbles when life's roller coaster takes you on a downward slide. Can you talk about that oil and water marriage of the music and lyrics for this track? Because to me, the push and pull yin and yang dynamics is really what grabbed me.
It's a weird thing. I always do this comparison. It's like when you listen to Shake It Off by Taylor Swift, right? And it sounds like a super, happy message, but she's saying that she's being attacked and that she has to get rid of it, right? Or like when you think of Jay-Z and, get the dirt off your shoulder kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's these things where I think you can still talk about negative, like not negative, but like things that are difficult sometimes, but still give them that, that beautiful twist of, it doesn't have to stop there. It can still be a beautiful day.
Well, staying on the lyrical and musical dynamic for Sun Don't Shine, and even maybe broadening it out to the rest of the album, are you a songwriter who prefers to write the lyrics first and the music second? Is it vice versa, or maybe a little bit of both?
There is a little bit of both. I think I'm lucky enough to have a great band behind me also, which are all friends from now a long date. And so when I was writing this album, they helped me a lot. I mean, they kind of gave me the musical baggage that I needed to like make this the best that I could. So we were sending each other music, and then we met up. We did a lot of, writing together also. In that sense, I think this was like, it's more of a collaborative album, if I can even say it like that, even though most of everything comes from me, then lyrically, et cetera, the melodies. But again, I'm not a musician, right? I am someone who fell into music and that thought that I couldn't do anything else after. And yeah, I think it's more a question of like, I'm passionate about having people, being able to whisper into my ear and give me the good decisions to make.
Well, the next song I'd like to dive into is the funky Love Yourself.
Your love was built on pleasure, but good things don't last forever. Tears falling from your eyes, but you don't know why. Regret can poison the mind if you don't take a stand in time. You need to love yourself before you love someone else. You need to love yourself before you love anyone else.
First off, the opening piano on this track is just absolute fire. You could feel the funkiness seeping into the song before the rest of the band even kicks in. And that sets the tone right from the jump. And lyrically, this song really gives some great advice, because let's be honest, if you're not good to yourself, how can you be good to and for others? This is the kind of song that makes me feel like I'm getting to know Wolf Valbrun, even though you and I have never personally met. Well, besides now, of course.
Now, yeah.
But it's an extremely personal and vulnerable track. Was that your intention when writing Love Yourself?
Yeah. I mean, so Love Yourself was one of the first tracks that I wrote for the album. And it was because it became a mantra to myself for like during and after COVID. I was going through some hard times, and I was I'm still in a relationship with someone that I love a lot, but it became this thing where I was like, I can't be good to this person if I'm not good to myself. It's impossible. How can I give her the best of me when I'm not giving the best of myself to myself? You know what I mean? So it became a mantra, and then it became this thing that I started to tell everybody, because I wanted everyone around me to kind of have that same energy for themselves. Take care of yourself. It's important. Don't let yourself, don't skip yourself before giving yourself to anybody else. And so it kind of just snowballed like that.
And along with vulnerable tracks like Love Yourself, you're not afraid to tackle topics like social consciousness in songs like my next choice, Keep Your Head Up.
A great disaster distracts from boredom ahead. Fire and brimstone, a warning of nothing for men. Are you complicit or will you be there to defend? Legitimize the lack of empathy within. Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Keep Your Head Up tackles institutional and social injustices with your horn section, adding this layer of heft on an already powerful rally call, and you can truly tell how important this song is to you based on your vocal delivery, especially during lines like, "We are kings and queens within, you've got to lose before you win."
We are kings and queens within. Keep your head up. You got to lose before you win. Keep your head up. We are kings and queens.
You can hear how important these lyrics are to you. Why is that?
It was important to me because I've been living in France for the last 20 years. And even with living in France, I've had a deep connection with a lot of friends that I kept from my childhood who are still in the States. And it was weird. You know, we went through the whole George Floyd thing and then in the States, and that kind of echoed into the world, right? And here it created this thing, especially in France. We've had these there have been rioting. There's been a lot of weird moments also politically here. And it was literally to send that message, please don't forget that we are what makes this system. All right. We are the people, as much as, we're treated as the small hands, as they would say in French. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that make this work. If we stop, nothing goes on. No one can force you to go to work. No one can force you to do anything. So we are the kings and queens here in this situation. We are the cogs in the machine. But again, without us, the machine doesn't work. So we should keep our heads up and not let ourselves be belittled by people who try to take away our importance in what we do.
It's a powerful sentiment. The next song I'd like to dive into is the bluesy "I'll Be Your Prey."
Can't stand the feeling I'm losing you. You left me alone for another lover. Tell me, what did I do? Whatever happened? I said you loved me so. Baby, please tell me, what did I do to make you go? God knows I'm falling apart. Like all things in life, nothing lasts. If love is a killer, then lead me astray. Let time put us under.
Now, like I mentioned before starting the track, this song infuses I'll say a hint of the blues. It's something I picked up on immediately, but the album as a whole, while it's undeniably a soul album, I hear a lot of different genres weaving in and out of those tracks. Where does that musical cross-pollination of genres come from for you?
So it's funny that you say that. "I'll Be Your Prey" is one of the only songs that I didn't write on the album.
Okay.
And it was important for me to not write necessarily everything. I think it was super important to, again, have the input of my band and also know what they wanted to give to the world. And it was actually written by a good friend and the guitarist of the album, Adam Holgate. And me and Adam, we have a very loving and caring relationship because we've gone through a lot of the same troubles, especially in love. And when he proposed the song, I was super happy about it because it resonated with me a lot. And the fact of it being this thing where, it's asking, I can't stand the feeling that you're leaving, and what can I do? What have I done? I will be the thing that will suffer. I will let you tear me down. Just, tell me why. And so it kind of gave this thing where, because everyone put in their input in this album, I wanted also everyone to, show me what they were, right? So Adam is an amazing guitarist, and he is an incredible songwriter. And that's really his touch on the album. Of course, there's a bunch more of it elsewhere, and he gave me the space of interpretation, and that I really, really love.
Well, while we're talking about I'll Be Your Prey, I'd also like to bring another song into the discussion that holds a interesting similarity to it, and that is the song Paris.
The streets of Paris on October night, lose sight of you and I become blind. Oh, with my pride I struggle, and I know it got me in trouble. I miss you, I love you, everything I could have said is that I need you, girl, and that I was wrong. I need you, I want you, everything I could have said is that I need you, girl.
Now, Paris, along with I'll Be Your Prey, are available on the physical CD and vinyl editions of the album, but not on streaming. And I personally want to applaud this because I'm a huge proponent of physical media. And the trend over the 2000s that I noticed was companies were putting out bonus tracks digitally, whether it be on iTunes or streaming only tracks, and left them off physical copies. But here we are a little over a decade later, and I'm seeing that trend switch where physical copies are getting bonus tracks that are not available on streaming. Can you talk about your, or maybe the label's decision and mindset behind this decision?
It was a way to really thank the people that invest themselves in this project. I mean, I wanted to write this album because I wanted it to be a love letter, right? A love letter to the people that have supported me for years, that have given me the opportunity to be who I am musically. And I think it was really, really important, like even for me and even for the label, just to, give that, not an incentive, but, it's a personal thank you when you buy this album physically to, have that extra, because you deserve it. Like, it's all efforts deserve something. And I know today, not necessarily not necessarily everyone has a vinyl player or, uses CDs, but, it's a way to say, when you do, thank you. Thank you for making the effort. Thank you for loving what we did. So, yeah.
And I want to add to that because it's no big secret that artists take home more from a physical album sale versus a stream. And depending on what streaming service we're talking about here, somebody would have to stream your album approximately 1,000 times before you as the artist or the band would profit the same as a single CD sale, which is why I always recommend purchasing physical copies of the albums that you enjoy, because these artists need to be able to afford to continue to create this art. And to think that one CD sale equals 1,000 streams of an album, because let's be honest, who is streaming an album 1,000 times in a row?
No one. And that's the problem. I think also we as a society really need to realize we all love music, no matter what the type of music. It could be metal, it could be electro, it could be whatever you want. And at a moment or another, when we love music and we love what it does to our soul, we can't deny that there is an investment to make. When I say investment, not necessarily monetarily, but, spiritually, in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. We used to see so many artists in development in like big labels, right? And the thing is that when streaming came along, yes, everyone had access to everything. But all of a sudden, all these artists in development couldn't be developed anymore because there wasn't that investment that could be made. Mm-hmm. So a lot of great projects fell into nothingness. A lot of beautiful and amazing voices and talented musicians all of a sudden found themselves without the possibility to, even sometimes even feed themselves, right? So I think I understand it. And in a way, it's a great thing to have so much access to everything all the time. But at a moment or another, we also have to, I think as fans of music, I'm a fan of music. I buy CDs. I buy vinyls. I support the things that I love. And I love music. I go to the movies because I love seeing good cinema. You know what I mean? I buy a good book because it feels good. And also I know it's going to help the author write another one. And it's a weird choice to make, but sometimes it's the choice to make.
Amen to that. Well, I talked about at the beginning how much I love myself an opening track, but equally as important, when you're talking about an album listen, is that defining stamp to close out an album. And in this instance, the defining stamp is the title track, Flawed by Design.
Tension building, social uprising, losing vision, looking unsightly, broken focus, needlessly fighting, but then there's you. Freedom's denied, fear to provide, sovereign tyrants, gorgeous diatribes, hopeful martyrs, forsaken fathers, and then there's you. We live in a circus, never cross the line. Are the men with no purpose, defined by their crimes? We are built to be perfect, but flawed by design. Flawed by design.
We are built to be perfect, but flawed by design. That is a poignant lyric. And it really does bring the themes that are woven throughout the album to almost this full circle moment. Was that song written with that in mind? Like, here is the exclamation point for this album? Or maybe should I say, was it done, by design?
Strangely, no. Flawed by Design was something that I thought no one was going to like.
Really?
Because I was angry when I wrote it. I was in this instance of thinking to myself, what is this all for? Right? What is where we are in this position where we ask so much of everyone. And you put on the mask. We all put on the mask. We go to work, and we're polite and we try. And so we take sides and we do the circus bit, and we are the bear on the balloon. We are the trapeze artists trying to get a bit of fanfare, trying to get a bit of, that's so great. But you never become a civilian in that sense, right? You're always trying and wanting someone's affection, someone's acceptance. What is it all for? Like there's this phrase that I put between everything, and it's literally, and what about you? Like, right? But there's always you. You who think that you're not playing the game. You who think that, that this doesn't concern you, but it does. All this concerns us. So yeah, we're built in this way that people want us to be to a T. Polite, nice, not angry, not frustrated, but you are. So yeah, let's not be perfect. Let's not do the thing and go through the BS, to be polite.
I like to refer to it as perfected imperfections.
Exactly. And let's accept again, and it does go full circle, because let's accept who we are. And it doesn't mean accept who you are and be assholes that we may, let's make an effort, but let's not make an effort for anybody else other than ourselves. Because again, you can't be happy if you're trying to please someone else. You can't find love if you don't love yourself. You can't do all these things if you don't have that introspection. And we all need that introspection. We got to stop doing the circus bit. We got to stop trying to people please, man. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's a saddening thing where you want to be loved by everyone else, but you look at yourself in the mirror and you can't stand it.
And as someone who has struggled with self-doubt and anxiety in my life, when I listen to songs like this, I feel like we're on the same page. I'm not alone when I think that way. If I have doubts about the podcast or doubts about an interview I did or doubts about myself as a podcast host, this is something that everybody struggles with. And to have a song that's kind of a rallying call that says, hey, we're all in this together, I think is a great thing. And that shows the power of music.
Exactly. I mean, it shows the power of just the human being. It's a beautiful thing to have people like you spreading the good word. And this is not only about my album. It is, again, we've never been so connected as people, but we've never been so alone.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I've seen so many people believe that they're not part of something. And so they cling on to things that sometimes alienate them even more. Right. We horribly have people trying to separate us constantly and trying to tell us these lies of what we are and who we're supposed to be. And I say this from the bottom of my heart to anybody that will listen to this today. You are not alone. And it sucks to be alone. And it hurts to not feel accepted. And it feels weird to want to have to beg for attention. But this is the thing. You don't have to. Don't beg for attention. Give yourself the attention. Don't ask for people who are not going to love you for your actual value. Give yourself the time. Time is the only thing that you can't get back when you've wasted it away. So give yourself the time. Be patient. I can assure you everything's going to be okay. Yeah, everything's really going to be okay.
Amen, man. Well, I want to continue to talk about this album because I listened to it over and over again. But one thing I noticed more and more with every listen is that each band member gets their moment to shine on the album. Whether we're talking about the tasty piano opening to Love Yourself, which I had mentioned earlier, or to the reverb-bathed guitar goodness, I guess you'll call it, of a song like Almighty Dollar. Talk about the overall musical arrangements on the album, how they were decided upon between you and the rest of the band, and how that balance was struck between the musicians and when their time to shine happened.
It's a weird thing because we took it, I guess we could say we kind of took it old school. We did everything together. We did everything together. We sat down and we listened to the tracks and we wrote them and we rewrote them. And it was just really, really important for everyone to be happy. And again, to give themselves, because yes, there's a lot of me, but there's a lot of everyone in this album. Everyone invested so much time and so much effort and so much, again, there's so much love and attention to the details. So I think that's how it really happened. We just, we took a first week and then we just chilled out together. And out of that first week, we wrote 7 songs in 7 days. And then we did it again and they live in Bristol and I live in Paris and our sax player, he lives in Leipzig, and but we came together every time because it was important to us to, to be able to communicate, but for real. Again, seeing each other, sometimes, arguing and, but taking the time to hear and touch and feel and get the things. And I wanted everyone's emotions to truly shine through.
And that it does. And you could see it visually because you've posted a bunch of live in studio performances of songs from the album, which I'll embed over on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com. This band is ridiculously tight. Are there any plans to tour in support of Flawed by Design? And if so, where can people keep up with your upcoming dates and catch you live?
So yeah, we're looking to tour later in this year. So end of 2024, beginning of 2025. We're all excited to be able to tour, but it's hard. We're trying to eat, and trying to eat is a hard thing these days, horribly, for a musician. So because we also want to, we want to stay honest to ourselves. We don't want to, do this half-assed. So we want to tour. We're looking for, people that love the message and, want to help us out with all that. So yeah, the game plan is late 2024, beginning 2025.
Well, Wolf, this has been such a fantastic conversation, but before I let you go, how would you describe the current state of soul music in 2024? And how do you feel the genre has evolved over the decades to get from the classics of the 50s and 60s to what we're hearing now in 2024 along the lines of bands like Black Pumas or artists like Marcus King, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, Charles Bradley, Gary Clark Jr., JJ Grey and Mofro, and as well as Wolfgang Valbrun?
I think we're lucky as a genre to have stayed more or less in contact with all the things that had been before, right? I would have never written this album if there would have been no Otis Redding, right? Or no Wilson Pickett. So we are the descendants of, we are the children of what we used to listen to. And it's a great thing. I find it beautiful. I mean, there's people like Arlo Parks that I love and I find amazing. Or Jacob Banks, who for me is a guy. I mean, I love what he does, and it's because it's just so true that he has that old sound, man. And you close your eyes and you feel like you're in the 60s, and you're like, that's what we need. We need people just to keep it alive, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to keep what I love alive.
Well, this album gives me excitement for what the future of soul has to offer the world. Wolf's new album, Flawed by Design, is available now on all streaming sites, or you can head to his Bandcamp page if you'd like to purchase it on vinyl, CD, or a digital copy of the album. Take advantage of Bandcamp Fridays because 100% of the proceeds go to the artist on Bandcamp Fridays. And I'm also going to make sure to have that Bandcamp page linked up on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com for easy access. Wolf, thank you so much for taking the time to dive into your amazing debut album with me. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for your music and catch a live show when you're over on this side of the pond in the States.
With pleasure, man. I'd love to come back home. Love to come back home. So it was a pleasure being with you, and I really do appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
And remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And finally, if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.